What I do to press for progress is mentor a number of young women. I've done that for some time now through Connect Mentors and face-to-face individually. I have a lot of women come through my workshops and I help them to embrace visibility and drive their business and their brands forward. Often I think all of those hashtag campaigns and marching is fantastic and important, but actually the most important thing that we can do is own our space and own our power as individuals. I think that can be most powerful in inspiring other people to do the same. When we fully embrace and own our power and aren't afraid to shine and aren't afraid to strive and move forward and accelerate, that can be the most powerful example both to the next generation and to our peers. The advice I'd give my 13-year-old self would be, don't be afraid to shine, because I think we often start out as children fully confident in our abilities and who we are, and then with time and puberty and peer pressure, through our teen years, we start to lose, we start to try to fit, and our priority becomes belonging and fitting. And actually where we're at our best is when we're truly in our skin and we embrace who we are. That's where we thrive. Events like Rocking Your Teens are so important because success and fulfillment are not just about grades or mentors or business plans. All of those things are important, but actually having visible examples of women and men who have achieved, often outside of the circumstances that you might think lead to success, is really, really important. And also the importance of mindset and our own power. Those are the life lessons that often we don't get in school because school is committed to the curriculum and academic success. So yeah, events like Rocking Your Teens are incredibly important because of all the advice and examples that they share.
Growing up, I was very passionate about women's rights. I grew up in Ghana, and we didn't have a conference like this. You're talking about 170 girls coming together. You don't often have a platform or a medium at 13 to interact with different pupils who are going through the same things you're going through. You're also listening and hearing from role models who've been through this journey, and I think Rocking Your Teens is a great example of how you can achieve and get this message across. When I was 13, I thought I wanted to be a doctor until I had a good chat with my counselor and realized my strengths weren't necessarily in the sciences. So I actually chose topics that I was interested in, one being biology and the rest to do with drama, languages, etc. Those I excelled in, even taking on to A-levels and even shaping on my career going forward. So I definitely think choose subjects that you are interested in and that you excel at. So how did I cope with exam stress? I had a lot of extracurricular activities and I worked better under pressure. So having those activities to take my mind off studying and build in a study routine is what I think really worked for me. What do I most enjoy about my current role? I'm working with like-minded, passionate colleagues who are driving to, it sounds cheesy, but make the world a better place, starting with Thomson Reuters, so looking at our inclusive policies, looking externally at our communities, and also the environmental impacts we're making on the world. Men are in control in terms of power globally, so we need men to be part of the solution and also not just to target it at young girls. Are you having that conversation with both? Because what's the use? If you're having it with one part of the population, what's going to happen to the other part? So what am I going to do to press for progress? I think this is probably my step one. Coming to Rocking Your Teens, interacting with all the young girls and actually spreading the message of what I'm passionate about, and then doing it more. Doing it with colleagues, sharing it externally to people I have conversation with, but definitely continue and speak up. What advice would I give my 13-year-old self? Well, there's two things. Firstly is don't take it so seriously. Trust in yourself. It is all going to work out.
Events like Rocking Your Teens are really important because it starts a conversation that a lot of girls don't have later in life, and it starts it earlier when it should be had. We're talking about thinking about your career ahead of time. We're talking about being aware and conscious of your well-being and mental health. We're talking about industries that they probably wouldn't have even considered if they hadn't met some of the speakers here. So I think it's really, really good for them to be open to a whole new environment that they might not have had readily in their local community or in their school. Sometimes people around you aren't equipped or prepared to have these conversations, all the ladies that are representing like as engineers and like STEM, they have had a massive impact on the girls, because it's amazing to see that they get to learn about science, they get to learn about just how this industry and the world is all put together in different ways. I think they're really key points as well, and great speakers. I'm a full-time presenter. I work in the media and music industry, and I love that I get to share that with the Rocking Your Teen girls. And also, I just love that my job is to open doors for girls and give them inspiration to so many other avenues. One girl actually said to me she wants to be a presenter like me because she heard me say that. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that I could be I want to be like you kind of person. And that's what really, really is amazing, that I'm meeting girls and they're learning about new careers, new industries, and I'm glad that I can be a part of that as well. If I was given an opportunity to give my 13-year-old self some advice, I'd probably tell her, do as much as you can. Try. And I think that is something I did, but sometimes I was a bit scared and nervous and uncomfortable to try as many things as possible. But I think never doubt yourself. Give everything a go, because it helps build character. You know, just because your friends aren't doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just do it. So I think men should be, and boys should be, a lot more open to the fact that girls and women can do boys things. There's no such thing as boys things, to be honest. Like, everyone has the opportunity to do everything. Not everything's a challenge. Not everything is competition. You know, time's up. For real. We should all be equal, fair, and let's just all have fun.
Rocking your teens is really important on many levels. Firstly, what you're doing is empowering young women, and they are the next generation. They're the decision makers. So getting into their minds early and showing them what they can achieve is out of this world. It's incredible. I also think it's important because they're going to take this stuff home with them. They can take it away, and they can help their peer groups to change. So you're not just affecting one person, they're going to have an effect on their wider social group as well. The advice that I'd give my 13-year-old self would be that to know that you're enough as you are. I think that's really important, and not to let labels define you. As soon as I start putting labels on ourselves, it can become quite restrictive. So ignore labels.